All right, hey guys, we're going to show you how to do these cap wraps on here, how to actually do those. Sweet, simple, and easy. It's going to be very quick, but I do a couple of things that I think are very precaution purposes, and we're going to dive into it and how to set that up. So what we got here is we have our setup that we are going to be using, and we'll look at this here, but we have a mouse pad right there. Mouse pad is vital. That is what's going to give us that, make sure we get no air bubbles or nothing in them. We got our shafts right there. I'm going to be fletching our feathers. We got that stuff. We do have a spinner, arrow spinner here that I use for putting a crest ring on, which I don't really do like I used to. You can see I used to do these like this. I've done them for years, but being down here in the swamps and the constant brush dragging and the stuff that these arrows go through all the time, it wears them out a lot quicker. The humidity and everything, they don't last like they did when, you know, for some reason in Michigan, Sharpie marker lasted a lot longer and a lot better than they do down here in Georgia. So I don't even do that anymore. Now I just do them like this. But we do have that set up there. So we're going to put this together. We're going to set this on a tripod here and get you set up where you can see exactly what we have going on and how this works. So we're going to put this there and like that, and we will show you what we have happening. So basically, simple. It's easy. There's nothing complicated about this, but there is prep work. Okay, so before we put these, like this is just this piece that came on there from the garbage when we were taking them off. But first thing we want to do on these when we set them up is you want to take a piece of paper towel and you want to, a paper plate is really handy because it's going to keep any of this stuff from spilling. So you want to make sure that you have paper plates, things like that, especially if you're doing this on an important table. See how it's spilling a little bit? We don't want to get that on anything anywhere. So you take a little bit of this, you got a dry one here, grab your shaft and you're going to wipe this off so we get that nice and clean. Let it sit somewhere here where it's going to dry for a second. Let that naturally air dry. Same thing here. Just as what this is doing is getting any fingerprints or anything like that that could be on this shaft, any oil residues, anything like that, completely off of here. We don't want any of that on here as we're setting these up. So it's quick and easy. Just a quick wipe down here as you're seeing here like this. Let them air dry for a minute. Okay, and just wipe them off. Get those oils off of there. But again, like I said, paper plate is, you know, if you got a bench, if I'm doing this out in the shop, it's one thing. But doing it in here, protect your stuff. You know, that paper plate, purpose, protect anything. You don't want to get this stuff all over everything. So we let those dry. Well, those are drying. We're going to do 3 of them in full size. I'm using kind of mixed bag of what I got left over or loose, but we're going to do 3 whites and then we're going to do 2 yellows. The yellows were cut short because I used to use a yellow and a white. And I would cut a section of white off and put it on there as a ring. I'm not doing that anymore, just I'm not that worried about it. So what we do though, make sure your mouse pad's cleaned off. And then basically we're gonna take the end of one of these, catch it with your finger. Grab it however you can to get this to come off. So now you don't wanna put your fingers all over these things, okay? You don't wanna get hands all over it. You wanna keep it pretty simple. Lay it on here, but again, touch it as minimally as possible so that it's set up there. Put that right in the middle of your mouse pad. Grab one of these shafts, make sure they're good and dry. You want to give them a few minutes to make sure that they're dry. So there's no residue, nothing left on them. Once they're set, I like to line that knock up. I take the knock out usually because it does, so it doesn't cause any bumping. Take the end of that shaft and line it up so that you can see it right there pretty dang good. Get it right where I want it, right there. And then we are just going to roll. Just going to roll it right on like that. That's all there is to it. Just a little roll and a set. And now that is on. Then you can put your knock back in. And there is your cap wrap. It's not a hard process. It's very simple, very easy, but it's smooth. There's no air bubbles in that. The mouse pad prevents that unevenness of a table or anything that's there that's going to do that, and it's just really smooth and simple. Now, before we actually fletch this up, I'm going to wipe the outside of this with rubbing alcohol and the base of the feather. To kind of show you that, let me whip through these real quick, and then I will show you exactly what I'm talking about for that so you understand and see what we mean. But we'll knock these out real fast here together. This has always been the bigger part of the problem, or hardest part of the whole process. There we go. Trying to get these off. And again, you do not want to handle these any more than you have to. Notice I'm on the outside edges as I'm handling it. We do not want to get that oils on any of this sticky stick part of this. There we go. Let go. Come on. There we go. Take this to make sure it's wiped. There we go. Line this up right on here on the end. Right there like that. And that's all there is to it. Okay, it's that easy. Now, what I'm talking about with that is if you wanted to crest spin these, you could take this shaft in a simple form. We'll do this one right here, for example. I can set this on this roller right here. You bring it in a little tighter. Okay. You don't have to have a cresting machine. I can take this setup right here, find where that is, use this table to balance against, put this ring right here, this marker, and spin. Oh, hang on. Put my hand here where I get a good couple rotations, and spin it, and just spin. And then we have a well done cresting ring, as you see right there, just like that. Sweet, simple, and pretty easy to do. Nothing too complicated, nothing hard. Adds that little bit of pop at the end. And these ones, like I said, they seem to hold up all right. The ones in the middle of it seem to get beat up pretty good if you look at my arrows, which I showed you earlier. But something like that, simple, easy, just a little tie off on the end of it. So we did that to this one. We set that one off aside. We'll do the same to these if we want to. Like I said, honestly, this doesn't bother me too much, or I don't worry about it. But if we did, here we go. And we're just going to put it right here on the end. And we're just going to run this ring just like this. Bring it up on there, touch. Again, not a crazy expensive cresting machine or process, which those do work really good. But there it is right there. Just a little ring on there to kind of put an end to the wrap if you want to. Personally, I'm leaving them like that. I am not actually going to do this to all of them. But now you've seen how it is, and that's all I ever use this for if you wanted to do that. Now, when it comes to the feather setup, we have 3 in here that we already pre-cut when we made that video on these. Where are those? We got 1, 2, and hang on here. Let me find them. I got this one and this one. And where's my other one? Right. We got, hang on, where'd you go? There it is right there, that one. So we got this one, and this one are already preset. So we pre-made these feathers, and we have those already dialed in. Remember, they are all the same exact length. If you didn't catch that, it's in another video. But we cut all of these exactly the same, made sure everything was the same on them, and we have them set. So when we get ready to go put these in a jig, I have my jigs and feathers or clamps matched. So this is one right here. This one is for number 2. So I have those all set. But before I put them in here, first thing I'm going to do is these 3 feathers will be specifically for this jig and clamp. I put my feather in that clamp. I get it set exactly like I want, just like that, right there. And then we have that good, and we have to do this now too. So again, what we're doing is we are taking a little piece of paper towel here, and we are going to get a little bit of this rubbing alcohol on it. So we have that little dab of rubbing alcohol. I want to take that and I want to run right down the length of this, right on the base of that feather, right there like that, just to get that, any oils that are on there off of that. Feather's done. Do the same thing to this shaft. I want to put that on here, and I want to get any fingerprints or anything off of this shaft, off that cap wrap, so that that is ready. This goes line up my indexer knock on here, so we're set there, and right to there. Put our knock in here. There we go. That is set. We have our feather in there. That is in there. And then I don't have glue or anything out here yet, but when we're ready, this will now glue and drop our jig right onto here, and that is what's going to fletch that for us. But again, the key couple things here, like with the cap wrap, prep is everything. Rubbing alcohol, mandatory. Paper towel, mandatory. Cleaning all surfaces, mandatory. That's the whole purpose of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Questions, comments, anything you got, put them down below. Thanks for watching.